pleasure to be here and to declare open the fourth Voice of Women Conference and Awards organized by Women Radio W91.7. The theme of this year's conference, Women Elevate Nigeria, is appropriate as it captures the new narrative of the changing tide in the role of Nigerian women in nation building. I congratulate every woman, man, and youth here for all that you are doing within your sphere of influence to collectively progress the advancement of every Nigerian. I thank the leadership of Women Radio 91.7 and Voice of Women Foundation and commend the excellent work you are doing in giving Nigerian women voices and providing safe spaces such as this gathering for us to come together in sisterhood across ethnic, religious, and political lines. This will help to reflect, deliberate, and strengthen our bond for the collective achievement of Nigerian women. The establishment of the only women radio in Nigeria is an achievement in itself for all of us. It is a bold and commendable initiative in addressing the systematic marginalization of women in Nigeria. The Women Radio has provided a bipartisan platform for us to aggregate our voices towards influencing public officials and public policy to improve the socio-economic and political standing of Nigerian women. If we rate the standing of Nigerian women today, we're still far from where we want to be, but we are also not where we used to be. However, we're making up for this through appointed positions, which reflects the capacity of Nigerian women to perform and the political will to mainstream women at all levels of government. Our women and girls are beginning to find their voices as they challenge the status quo, resulting in reforms. The recent legislation across the states in Nigeria protecting the rights of women and girls are commendable. The recent documentary by BBC Africa Investigations and Women Radio on Sex for Grades is a commendable advocacy for institutional reforms. I want to reaffirm to you that present administration is committed to making poverty history. This government acknowledges the transformation power of empowered women in achieving poverty eradication. I believe the conversation that will take place will provide the needed intellectual insight and synergy that will enable and move forward the women agenda narrative in Nigeria. In order to complement the effort of the founder of the Women Radio, Toyin Okewale, we have he for she that decided to open a radio station in Abuja, yes, which I use a little bit of my influence to make sure that he relinquished the radio to women. So the radio is going to be NAS Women Radio Abuja by the grace of God. And it's going to be functional by the first quarter of next year, inshallah. And also, I would like to comment on one of the panelists, distinguished, where she has mentioned that it's not the fault of men. Like the setback that women are having in Nigeria is not the fault of men. I feel that somehow it's the fault of men, because if a woman wants to contest, they will come together, speak with one voice in order to bring her down, by all means. And And don't forget that naturally we are all different. All of us in this hall, we are different. And at the same time, some people believe that they can do everything alone. I, Aisha, believe that anything short of teamwork is a failure. And at the same time, when my husband won election in 2015, my first job was to travel to Argentina to represent Nigerian women on Beijing conference that was held like exactly 20 years then. I think now it's 25 years. So I happens to be one of the armchair discussion participant. Then I was quite new. Mine was to listen before talking. And thank God I wasn't the first person to talk. So what I've learned from that particular conference was that all the countries that have listed their achievements, the number of women they have in their parliaments, determine the success of the country. Most of them were former members of the parliament or House of Representatives, either the lower house or the upper house, simply. And I have learned that 40% of the houses comprises of women in different countries, and they have achieved a lot. And I had to go one by one asking them how they were able to achieve this. They said they use their political parties. So our first step now is to use our political parties to show them that we cannot participate in election without giving a certain percentage. And they're 100% sure that, 60% of the voters are women and youths. Am I correct? Your Excellency, the Governor of Kwara State. And also I have learned that there are more women in the governor's cabinet than men. And I'm sure the state will excel beyond the rest of the states. I'm 100% sure.
Of Women 2019, we are very, very grateful for everything you do for us. We thank you for honoring us today. We urge you to please do more for every girl and every woman. It's not just sex for greed, there's sex in the holy places, there's sex for salvation, there's sex for food, where they have to sell their bodies to give food to them at the IDP camps. Please use your powers for us to ensure that the perpetrators of this are brought to books. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And I would like to dedicate this award to all women that are here with me today, especially women with strong character.